I have a Troy built weed whacker and it's just been running like crap. So sometimes the best thing to do is just replace the carburetor. So I went on Amazon and I bought a new carburetor, and that's what I plan on doing. So first thing you want to do is empty your fuel. Make sure there's no fuel in there. Okay, you're going to want to take your fuel lines off. Make sure you know where they are. But first thing I'm going to do, open up this little air box thing and unscrew these two screws, which hold the outside of the air box on with the filter and stuff. So I'm just going to remove these screws here. So once I got these screws all the way loose, carburetor is actually attached to these screws. Note that over here you got your little cable here for your throttle. And so now the next thing I got to do is open up my new one and see what I got here. And so I want to line that up. I got this way. I can see the screw is in the same spot here. This screw does not have a little spring on it, which is interesting. But other than that, I got this in the same spot. Everything looks very similar. I'm going to tell more when I open it up. But here also I got my hoses in the right place. So far it looks similar, and I'll double check that when I get this off. But pull my two bolts out, and then here I got to remove this throttle cable. So I just pop that up and pop it out. And then here is my carburetor with my air box on it. So the next thing I got to do is remove my fuel line. So I'll do that next. And basically all those are is just get a pair of pliers and just pull them off. But I'm doing it one-handed, so I'm just going to do each little part. Obviously easier to do screws and pull those off. Just pop them off, and then I'll come back as soon as that's done. So in my case, the yellow was at the back and the white was or clear was at the front. And so I just make sure that that's the same way I put them back together. Now I'm going to put these two bolts holding the carburetor together. I'm just going to put these in here so I don't lose them for a minute. Just drop them back into the body of the engine. And then I'm going to come over here onto the other side. And so when I do that, I can see again that this is pretty darn similar, and that's what I'm expecting to see. So what I got to do next is pull this air box off of here and attach it onto the front of this right here. So let me do that. So I was thinking there was something holding it on, but nope, I just pulled it out of the way. It comes right off. There's my little, it just sits right on there. So there's my gasket. So I obviously want a gasket on the input side, and of course in my new set it comes with just that. So I'm going to take my gasket and I'm going to line that up over here. You may want to clean this off before you do this, but I'll put my gasket on there, and then I will put my carburetor on there. So the other thing I wanted to do too is just make sure that this lines up, and it certainly does. So I'm going to drop that on here, and then I'm going to put this on here. I already loosened this up, so I'm going to be able to much more easily attach this. And so we'll go ahead and drop that on there. Now I'll get my two bolts from here, flip this over the other way, and insert the bolts from the other side through. And so I took my two bolts and put them in here. Then I just slid my gasket on from the back through these screws. And now I'll take my carburetor. I want to make sure I go the right way, so I'm going to close this to see where the wording was. And then I'm going to make sure I take this and put it on the right way also. Just put this through these two screws right here, and to show you what that looks like. So as you can see right now, my screw's going through my air box. I got my little gasket right there in the middle there. See if you can see that. But anyway, my gasket is right there. Move that out of the way so you can see it right here. And then my carburetor right there. Make sure those are aligned. Now I'll just go over here and drop this back on my engine right here. Just align those screws so that they go right onto the engine. And notice here that you have a little gasket there as well. And that came in my package also. So you may want to change that gasket out so you have a nice fresh one. And I'm not going to do that for now. Maybe I should, but if I want to do it, I'll do that later on. This one looks like it's perfectly fine, so I'll leave it. So now I'm just going to take this and drop that right on here. There is no gasket on this side, only in between the carburetor and the air box. So I'll go ahead and put that on here. Move my hoses out of the way. And then I'll just screw these back on. And then I'll hook my hoses back up again after that. So I'll quickly screw these guys on. Put them down snug, but not too tight, because this is plastic, so you definitely don't want to break the plastic. So I'm going to snug these on nice and snug, but not too tight. Just kind of hand tight. I got, 2 or 3 fingers on there. Just going to go snug on that. And I'm not going to over tighten it. Just so I got a snug fit there. And I got a snug fit there. Nothing too crazy. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to attach my hoses. So the clear was in the front. Put that on. Got my yellow in the back. Put that on. Now I'm going to fill it with gas. Crank it over and see how it runs, because as I mentioned, it did not run well before. So I'll go ahead and fill this up with fuel and then go from there. All right, once my gas is in, go ahead and prime the engine. And you probably can see that there is some gas in the line right now. So I'll go ahead and crank this over and see what we get. The one thing I forgot to do was put my cable back on here. So I got to do that. I may have to take this off to do it, but I'm going to try to do it just by pulling this and putting it on there. So do that, give that a shot. Yep, so after that it started up no problem. I do have a little bit of an issue with, I'll probably have to adjust the carburetor, and there's other videos out there, other people have done that. But basically when I start it up, it just runs like crazy, like as if you're pulling the trigger even when you're not. So when I pull the trigger, it bogs, so that means I do have to adjust my carburetor. But essentially new carburetor definitely makes it run much better. So I hope this was helpful. Give a thumbs up. Check out some of my other videos, and thanks for watching. Subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.